full 3 med kits in a row and just like won the game off it. It's a great feeling.
That's awesome. What was the your initial land looking like? Like, where did you guys start? What kind of troubles did you guys deal with moving through this game and eventually to the win?
Yeah, like we ended up landing at Tomato. The first game we got our 2 kills, but we went out and died. When we met the next team, like TJ got 3rd party. But this game, we actually went away with like just a shotgun and an SMG, and we rotated like far around from Tomato to Kevin's Island there, and just like fly to the zone. Like we just sat at the low ground and hoped for the best. Yeah.
So what is the, we've seen the glider redeploy kind of make its way into the game. How have you guys been utilizing that? How have you adapted that to your play style?
I mean, like, we have not really used the new thing so much, I think. So that's not really a big thing for us, I think. Yeah.
Cool. So what strategies are you guys going to employ going to the next 2 games? Is it just like rinse and repeat? Just lock it up, lock it down, take it to the Victory Royale? What's the plan?
I actually think we're going to go for a kill intensive instead and hope for getting 1 more point that way. But if we have like a perfect game for a heal off again, we might as well go for it.
Anything to say to your fans in case you cannot hear them roar behind us? They're not that far away. So what do you guys want to say to the fans?
I don't really know. Just, yeah, I don't know. Let's go, Denmark!
Let's go, like, Fortnite!
There you go, Fortnite. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I believe with that, we're going to a short break. So guys, stay tuned. We have more action heading your way. Actually, wait, Courage Lupo, do you guys want...
Hey.
Oh, there you are. Hey,
I want the spotlight again. That was enough on you. That was enough on you. Bring it back.
How's you guys doing? Yep, you guys take it away. We're going to hang out
He really thinks he's trying to take my job away from me.
Can you believe Zeke?
The nerve of that guy.
We'll have a conversation with that afterwards.
We will.
There will be reprimanding.
Zeke's never seen again on camera. No. Great stuff there. Great hear from the players. It's interesting to hear them mention they haven't really felt too much change from the glider redeploy. From our perspective, it's changing.
It looks absolutely
how
wild.
everything is.
You have players that, like we've said, you could be in a build fight and you have the opportunity to just disengage at will now. Yep. If you're caught in a bad spot. Now, before this, we had things like the bouncer.
Yep.
And those kind of provided a similar movement mechanic, but the control wasn't there in the same way. With the glider redeploy, you build up and you can fly wherever you want to. So we've seen players literally elect exactly where they want to go, depending on the circumstances. They can plan even better than they could before. 100%. I think that's changed the way that people are taking engagements. Plus, on top of that, we've seen there's always been a big focus on the style of your ramp builds.
Yep.
Right? You have people build, ramp, floor, wall, just to try and put up multiple layers of defense, so you can't get knocked down in the air because you take fall damage. That's not the case now. You have people just spam ramp all the way up in the air.
Materials.
Exactly. Just jump off and you can fly wherever you need to. It's aggressive and defensive at the same time, and on top of that, there's no use count to it.
For sure.
It's an unlimited resource to just be able to traverse the map.
It's quite good. I'll look at the crowd again there, eagerly awaiting game number 3. As you guys know, we've been having these skirmishes. We have the summer skirmish, now the fall skirmish. For those who are maybe tuning into Fortnite, Fortnite event for the first time, we want to give you guys a little rundown on what exactly the skirmishes are. Let's have a watch.
When I first heard about the Skirmish series, I thought, what an awesome way to celebrate our community and our player base. If I had to describe what a skirmish is, it's where we pull some of the best players from all over the world together and have them compete and prove who is better than everyone else. It's a weekly competition. The Summer Skirmish series ran for 10 weeks, and the Fall Skirmish series will run for 6. I think one of the things that's really special about the series is that we have these icons like Tifu that can show up and play, but then we also pull players from the Solo Showdown LTM. We put them all in one lobby and say, fight for our love, fight for our affection, and fight for glory. I mean, what's better than that? Definitely one of my favorite moments from the Summer Skirmish is the fact that Margossi won Grand Finals. I mean, he shows up to PAX with no badge, no real means to stay, qualifies, and then walks away with a $225,000 prize pool.
It's going to take him a bit to process exactly what he's seeing on the screen.
What we call shock, people.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's life-changing for him. That opens so many doors, and I honestly can't wait to see more from him. When I interviewed him afterward, he definitely lagged out.
I don't even know. Probably just...
Let's just say, I don't think he really could process what just happened.
I did it, you know?
Margossi getting the win? That's complete validation of what the Skirmish series is all about. anyone can win. You just have to have the drive, the dedication, and the passion to push you above everyone else. So I know we're not through the fall skirmish just yet, but I think one of my favorite moments thus far has been Atlantis Mitro coming out in week number 2. He utilizes that new shockwave grenade to launch himself down in that final 1v1 moment, catching his enemies off guard. And I mean, us as the spectators, we completely lost it.
He can actually send him.
Oh! No, wait. No way! He made it look so easy. I think that's really what highlighted him as a player. And if there's anything I've learned from the summer and now the fall skirmish, it's that anything is possible. And that's what makes this game so special. As a commentator, to get to come back every week, it's been so incredible watching the players grow, the game evolve, and the community get stronger. If you're at home watching and you have the drive, the passion, the dedication, you should start practicing. Because who knows, it could be you on the stage of the World Cup.
Skirmishes, what a success they've been so far. So many incredible moments. My favorite play of any of the skirmishes is still that Mitro,
the shockwave grenade
down to the. That for me was one of the most 7,000 IQ plays I've seen yet in Fortnite.
That's out of the box thinking that Fortnite kind of brings to the table.
Yep.
You have a number of utility pieces that not other games, other games don't necessarily have, and you have players utilizing them in ways that we haven't seen before. I mean, that kind of stuff. Those are things that we incorporated into our own gameplay after we see some of these players just deploy the, think like this.
Yep.
It blows my mind when you see people do stuff like that.
It's something that one of the best ways you can improve at Fortnite is watch the best play. Tune into the streams, watch their broadcasts. It's why players like Tfue have so many live viewers. Ninja have so many live viewers for their skill that they bring in, the out-of-the-box thinking they can have, the entertainment, obviously, that's there as well. Tune in to these top pro players, and I promise you will begin to use things that you've never thought of in your gameplay before. Oh, I watched Poach do this. Oh, I watched Myth do this. And now those little tips can immediately make you a better player just like that.
Even any free time like that, practicing is a huge piece too. You have the playground mode. If you feel like your building is slacking, which I mean, I've worked on my building in playground quite a bit now because of the addition of all of the things that they give you access to and how fast you can get into it. There are utilities there. And players can take advantage of those things to do everything that they can. Because, like we were just talking about it, anybody can win these.
Yep.
You can show up to one of these events and get registered and get in, depending on the format, how things are done, and make a name for yourself in a big way.
Yep. No,
in front of a lot of people.
A lot of these guys, you see some of these players who have now been signed to organizations literally have become players in the scene because of their building in playground. Like some of the clips that they have, right? Yeah, like how fast they can build, some of the 1v1 build battles they get into. It's one of the best ways to know, like, in a scenario where, hey, what happens when I lose the high ground? What happens when I have the high ground? What are the best edits I can, employ to get the advantage on my opponent? And that's a lot of where you learn is through playground. You set it on up. Every fight's a build battle. Then these guys hop into scrimmages. They hop into now, you think of the in-game events that have been going on, another great way to begin to build yourself up. Try practicing on a more competitive style. Those little online, in-game tournaments, those events, sure, they're not maybe the quality of skill that we see here this weekend, but it's a stepping stone, and that's how a lot of these guys have gotten to this point.
I feel like Fortnite does it in a different way, too, because they're always evolving the game, like I mentioned earlier. You have the addition and even removal of certain mechanics that have defined a play style for a while. And so they're putting competitive players in a position where they have to adjust on the fly to how the game is intended to be played. Whether you have a bounce pad or not available in the game, and they took a soaring 50s mechanic and bring it into the entire game, being able to redeploy your glider and fly through the air.
Yeah.
You've got, right now, shockwaves aren't available in competitive play for this event, and so players have to adjust every single time a change is made. They have to think on their feet, and I think that sets the top-tier competitive players apart from everybody else because they show that they can do it.
Yeah, no, 100%. There's so much that goes into these Battle Royale competitive games of thinking, it's not like, oh, it's me versus one team, like some other competitive games. I've got to think of me and then 49 other duo teams and where they can be. In those final zones, you not only need to be thinking of where you are, where the zone's going, what you're hearing around yourself, but you have to be wary of potentially 20 other teams at that time when the zone is that close who could all turn and snap onto you in a moment's notice.
Exactly.
You expose yourself a little bit too far for one step, and people realize that looks like a free elimination. You will get sprayed at by 10 players in one moment, and I can promise you it will not end well. We are currently just awaiting the updates for the standings at home for you guys. Obviously, we want to see them too, so we appreciate your patience as we'll have these in here momentarily. I know that the lobby seems to all be set up as we continue to move on forward. Either way, though, if you are live here this weekend at TwitchCon, remember this is the 4th ever TwitchCon, come on down, take a look at this. Not only is the competition obviously the huge kind of center of this, but there's a lot of stuff to look forward to. We are going to take a brief break here. When we come back, we'll have the updates for you guys in the standings. Games 3, don't go anywhere. DJ Yonder throwing down the tunes here. Nothing better as we come back from our break. I hope you guys are enjoying the coverage so far of the Fall Skirmish Finals here at TwitchCon live. We're halfway through heat number 1. So much competition and great moments up to this point. Again, Courage joined by Dr. Lupo. And again, this place, you see the crowd building behind us. TwitchCon fully sold out. Obviously, one of the biggest draws here, the Fortnite booth.
If you're down here at the San Jose Convention Center, do yourself a favor. We're the South Hall. We took over the entire place. You need to come out here and hang out. The Fortnite is literally a movement at this point.
Yeah.
And you can see a ton of people here out here representing their favorite clubs. I saw a Bush Bandits one go up right there in the front. Pretty, I'm rather partial to them, Jack, to be honest with you.
Hey, it's fine.
No offense to the others, but, you know, it's a Bush.
Yes, that is true. As I'm taking a look at my screen, I see players set up in the lobby, so we should be in there in just a few moments now. Got to go back and cover exactly how we made it to this point. I believe we'll have the standings here momentarily for you guys, so we'll take a look and see exactly where everyone racks up. We know we're gonna take a look at the top 12, which is really the players that are moving on into Sunday. So it kind of does make sense, as we'll be able to catch you guys up. But we saw last game, DK winds up winning that one. But wow.
There you go. Sitting at first place, Tfue and Cloaksy from FaZe with 12 eliminations, 10 points to their name. Ronan and JDW from Hero, 12 eliminations, but only 9 points. Mowgli, Norse, a lot of solid players sitting here in the top 12. Wow. And we're only halfway through this. So like you said, like we've said a bunch of times, to make sure that people truly understand that even just one game can shift the flow of gameplay for a team, can put them high enough to get into the finals, the grand finals. $400,000 for first place if they show up. Put up some big plays. It's going to be a good set of games. We got Game 3 coming up just around the corner. And one of the things I think you're going to see from players, Jack, if they're not up here in the standings just yet, over time, competitive players, they're going to analyze the drops. That's a big piece. Your start can make or break an entire game, and one of the biggest pieces of analytical gameplay from a competitive player in Fortnite is saying, okay, I've watched where my competitors have dropped in previous matches. This spot's been empty, this spot's been empty, and they'll plan their drops accordingly based on trends from previous games. If they ran into a certain team that they know is extremely good, we've talked about them repeatedly because, man, the big focus of Heat 1 thus far is Tfue and Cloaksy for good reason. I'm going to try and avoid the common drop zones for them because it would be just a bad play call to go to the same location.
First 2 games through, I believe Acid has tried to land at that lower desert area.
And they've paid the price.
Both times they've lost the fight. And you got to begin to think, is that a fight we want to keep taking? Granted, they might think they can beat them, but they haven't yet. Maybe they should change it up.
To be quite honest, fingers crossed that they make a different play call at this point. Maybe they practice that drop spot quite a bit in scrimmage games. The practice is everything, don't get me wrong. But they need to know setting a trend. It's going to be bad if people are watching for targets.
For sure.
You need to know when to shift your strategy, and I think now, for those players, is the time.
Well, we also have an update for you guys on our Make It Rain winners from game number 2. You saw them on the standings. They were in that second place spot. It's the 2 hero players who wind up winning that $10,000. And, hey, all they need to do, you get the most eliminations between zones 3 and 4. It's a pretty good spot to be in.
That's quite a bit of money. And we even made note midway through that game, seeing them in the feed repeatedly. Their names were showing up. JDW was putting up tons of really good shots, a lot of knocks that he didn't even necessarily have to finish himself. You let a third party come in and finish the elimination, you still get credit for it. And in a moment like that, if the Make It Rain bonus is active, might as well, right?
Oh, for sure.
Let everybody else do the work.
There's all our competitors right there, just chilling out, waiting for this game to get started.
A lot of strategic ADSing you saw on that screen there for a second. Now, I'd like to point out these are the similar, the same setups that these players have been playing on for previous events.
Yep.
Maybe, obviously in a different location. We're here in San Jose today, but the setup should feel the same. So the environment, the trend of the environment, there's consistency, and for a competitive player that's practicing in an environment like that over and over again, that's going to help quite a bit. Plus, they knew well at a time that there were configurations that were established, so people knew how to practice. Put themselves in a better spot now. Here we go. Jack, Game 3, Heat 1.
Let's
the
get
last, the finale of Fall Skirmish.
Yeah, it's, again, we know our top 12. We saw the leaderboards. Who will hang on to those positions? Who will fall out of it? Who will move on in? Are the questions we begin to ask in games 3 and 4. Again, in total in the Heat's 4 games played. Off the break of this one, everyone fanning out all over yet again. As we're waiting to see who gets in these early engagements to secure some early elims.
Look at that southeast corner of the minimap on your screen. You see there's a number of teams dropping down, 2 teams. That same spot. I have a feeling that we're going to see another re-challenge against Tfue and Cloak at that little set of houses down there in the southeast corner. Looks like that potentially is acid dropping the gas station. But you do have a really solid spread of players across the entire map. A couple different llama markers out there so that those at home can see where those drops are. And in previous matches, we've seen those llamas, those little icons disappear, which means they got picked up. Those are getting spotted every time. That's a lot of resources on the spot to just have out of nowhere. 200, 200, 200 for all 3 materials goes a long way in initial fights. If you can get that very early and make a push against a team, you might already have established an advantage just based on materials alone.
Oh my goodness.
Look at this loot.
Look at the loot right now.
Gold compact SMG, gold AR, wow, a blue pump.
This is, this is
a slurp, 3 minis, and just based on the shoot, he's at 75 already.
Yeah. This might be one of the best loots you could have off the break of a game. The legendary assault rifle, the legendary compact SMG, the rare pump shotgun. Will they try to push the agenda now and go for those early elims? Over to Mitch now, up at Viking Village, and oh, he gets clocked by Putrid with that shotgun. Grand Pooh Bear now pinched as well, and just like that, it's 2 quick elims for the Envy duo.
An early established set of elims is going to go a long way. At this point, they need 1 more to pick up a point, and everything beyond that is it's just progress towards a better placement. Putting yourself in a position like that, getting an early lead on elims is going to be, it's big, because then third-partying later is even more valuable than it was if you didn't have any. If you're at 0 elims, maybe you pick off a team on rotation and put yourself at 2, but that's not a point yet. They won that landing, put themselves in a better spot. Reloads, Dusty here and Tilted.
Oh my goodness, that is horrifying. They're getting sprayed at from the island.
Directly above.
And they're just going to try to disengage. They're fighting that wind, as you saw right there. They've made it over to factories, and they'll look to reset now on this fight. But that is not a scenario they wanted to engage from.
They've got to be careful because that top down, actually,
are they chasing?
Getting ready to dive on in. That spot, though, is tough on top of the factory because the angle, I think, is still steep enough that they have a top-down view from above. Mitchell and Maj are going to have to build up and defend, or as they did, drop down and try and get inside the factory to not get third party from above.
Over now to Rue and Kevlar, each with a knocked teammate. Oh, Rue just gets clocked right there. No shields left, and yeah, Kevlar, it's easy from there. He knew how much damage he had done. Quick little revive coming on in and flush factory, and you'd assume that they just won that area, so now they can go ahead and farm it up. Yeah, here's the view. No players nearby. Blue and Kevlar can now just go and begin to farm materials and get those mats to a great spot, but they are very far from that first zone.
I want to point out that it looks like potentially a misplay from Rue in the middle of that. I don't know if you noticed, but he re-peeked the same side of that metal ramp twice in a row, and Kevlar was literally pre-firing with the gray burst at that edge. So as soon as he stepped out, damage happened immediately in the elimination. Re-peeking a different side, always important.
Yeah, no, catching your opponent off guard is super, super key. 89 players left as the first zone begins to shrink. In the next 30 seconds, that rocket launcher, it just sounds scary every time it goes off. Flowers gets chunked by that double barrel.
Visible 1 HP. Edit down his teammate, taking shots from above. Knocked down, here we go. Are you kidding me?
6 health. As MiG lives to see another day there.
SMG.
I think they had no shotgun. That was the thing.
The SMG spray with some aiming mistakes amidst that. There was a lot of heat on that.
What a high ground take. Brilliant edit out of that roof. Now Joshua, who had the high ground for the moment, tried to get aggressive. Instead, will have to seek refuge inside this house. Walls being spammed as grenades are thrown, but no damage landed.
See, Left Eye, Geber both have quite a bit of resources. 3-1-1.
I think the biggest thing with the resources is their health right now. Look at the difference in health pool. Great grenades, continuing to knock down all this build. Geber with 1 knock. There's the second as well. And Rex and Joshua go down. And man, when you have that much of a health advantage with a double barrel this early on and you're fighting in a house, you should win that.
Well, it looks like
wow, three teams.
Grandpa on the outside just kind of watching and waiting. Anything you do to chuck an explosive in, something to get any damage or maybe even a knock while these two teams are pushing in on each other. Big Vicious and Cookie Monster, we've seen a number of times. They're stuck in the, what is this, a garage, a storage room side of this house and try and knock the wall out. I wonder if they know if Grandpa's right in front of them in the southwest, unless he rotated away. It's like he must have.
Ooh, that's a risky play right there. They tried to land the snipe, and then instead of being able to get any free damage with maybe an assault rifle, they whiffed the snipe, and now Big Vicious and Cookie Monster just turn around and they're ready for a fight. That's United's Jack running away. You've got Prequel and Brand Pie as well looking over. They've all got to begin to move to the zone, and that's why you're seeing him disengage from this angle. They're gonna get shot in the back, aren't they?
Most likely, if Big Vicious and Cookie Monster push out right now, you saw a shot for just a second, the build from Jack to defend any damage from the backside. He's rotating just as fast as he can away. Wouldn't surprise me if a Shadow Cube was picked up and they used the little launchers there, little craters. I guess they didn't at this point. You can get so much distance out of that just based on one quick cube usage.
Yep.
You jump it in and fly away.
Look at the materials. This is one of those games where if you're these United players, you're just thinking to yourself, man, we need some things to just get very lucky for us, right? Like we need some stuff on our end to save us in this scenario. As Eternal now forced to the low ground. And that's great help for the teammate. They don't pop the redeploy in the glider. Again, an example of some of these new things coming to play. That's 00 Flower who's knocked. Eternal gets traded. A one-on-one. They're trying to go for the elim. Can he save his teammate? No. Doesn't save the teammate in time. It's Mountain.
Is still alive in there.
Yeah.
Versus Mountain. They're built up into a box. Could go for the replacement. Case it, a third party comes in. A little bit of tunnel vision there, not realizing he was getting pushed from a different angle. Flower's still up. Dre very low on HP.
Well, it was 190 meters, I think that shot was, or something like that. That was a far shot.
Distance.
But yeah, you saw there a very, very awkward fight.
Flower and Dre from Rogue just barely hanging on, built up in a little base. Hopefully they're sitting on a handful of bandages, a med kit, maybe some shield. Anything to build back up, because if K-Sid is still watching, they had to have seen in the feed that he was eliminated by another team. They know that there are eyes on them now.
Yep.
They can't just freely move out and reposition. They've got to be very cognizant of who else might be watching. You saw as Mitra and Majin are rotating in for the circle, another team was in the air. You're going to have multiple people come in simultaneously, the same spot, potentially.
And even down there on the bottom side of the map, you've got the crate. It shows on your map where the crates are. You see just south of Risky Reels. One llama still in play as well in the zone, which 600 materials. That's beautiful.
Significant.
Yeah, and typically, you know, the shields and help that comes with it as well could make all the difference for whoever finds it. I wonder if it's like super hidden though.
Potentially, we've seen multiple players with basically no resources rotating in. The United players, Ash and Jack, were sitting on very little just because of the situation they were in early game. Granted, they're the other side of the map, but you could have somebody up there run into that llama and totally change the way that they're going to play.
Yep.
Because they might be playing kind of a starvation style games. They don't have a whole lot to their name, but you have multiple teams here. MiG, we saw clutch up big moments ago and get a double. Monster Figures built into a base by themselves. Drama's Mars. Everybody's stacked up in a box together, just kind of just trying to stay established, trying to stay in the safe zone. Maybe not get tagged from outside of their fortresses. This coexistence is pretty common in competitive play too, especially during rotations, Jack. you see a lot of players build up inside the same base attached to one another and not necessarily risk an engagement because they don't want to throw away a solid placement. Granted, Monster and Figures, they're close enough to know that they're both teams are there, but they're not going to push out. There's no need to.
Yep. As looks like there was a little fight between Vilix, Giganza, and 2 enemies. I believe they came out on top. They've got at least 1 elim. As there's the res, and now they'll heal off of it.
We saw Dre save Flower moments ago, but looks like Dre is going to tick out there.
Yep.
An elimination given away. Flower's still alive, though, against Bravo and Bartnologist, who kind of have him vertically sandwiched, but just chilling up on the mountain, the top right of the screen.
Just chilling up there.
Go there. Just chilling, dude.
I love
There's
it.
no reason to push either. He can sit up top and just slowly tap fire.
Yep. And especially with
Studios rolled up his teammate.
Legendary assault rifle.
Oh, absolutely.
Not much better of a weapon to just tap fire with. Now the grenade coming in, and wow, one well-placed grenade just knocked that entire structure down. Keep in mind the Glider redeployed, not going to really knock anybody out, but still, there goes 00 Flower losing that fight to Bartnologist.
As the structure was coming down, Bartnologist pulled out a grappler, one of a very common weapon, item we've seen a lot of people pick up in this, just because the utility of movement is so important. It looked like he flew away and immediately doubled back and took shots on Flowers. Flowers trying to rotate away from those grenades. Did not pay off, though. We got a lot of teams building up here around containers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, even potentially 6, as you see the team from Hero rotating in.
This was from earlier on in the game. Noobtra and Novi, we always mention how they seem to get these early elims. Each game in this heat so far, they've had they've been at 2 elims off the opening minute of the game. Nitro Megan, they're going for it now. Look at how low they are on AR ammo. Barely gets any damage from that shotgun tag, but a quick cleanup there will come on through. It's so key to have those good swap weapons from, I believe, 16 total rounds now to 128. And they've got eyes on the teammate. There goes Austin. This team from Atlantis, so darn good together.
I'd like to point out super quick, I was going to say, they are the last ones, it looks like, potentially rotating in the storm. There might be one other team. They were so far out. That Glider redeploy coming in big there, but low HP, 9, 7. He's going to just barely make it in 5 HP.
Now 3 and 1 mini, so 28 total health for the 6 fight, and they're getting sprayed at. Oh,
lucky med
a
kit
med
right
kit
above.
from the teammate. The Make It Rain bonus has begun as well. $10,000 on the line for whoever gets the most eliminations in these next 2 zones.
You got to remember, too, if 2 teams tie or if no one gets any elimination during this time frame here, it carries over to the next game. So we'd see a $20,000 Make It Rain bonus, and that'll continue so long as nobody claims it. We see a knock from Bravo on Frosty in the feed there, 41-meter snipe. No elim yet, though, and we're going to keep our eyes down there just in case somebody picks up some numbers.
Still 60 players left, 59 now. Both F3 players just staying right on the edge of the zone, and Atlantis doing that strategy where when your opponents have that high ground, you build just basically roofs above you and just walk it on and move towards the zone. They're right now, I think they're looking for their next area of entry, and that's a great double build. Placing the ramp above will take away the ability to get shot in the back, and a very, very quick build to stop any more shots from coming on in.
Crit in the feed takes out Sova from Trouble Boys. So you've got a number of eliminations happening during this Make It Rain bonus, so it looks like this one might get claimed as well, unless there's a tie for number 1. We'll have to see here. Niche trying to rotate in. Team from Atlantis built just above the tunnel.
I can tell you right now, when they go back and watch this, they're going to wish they knew that that player was near one shot just behind him, but...
Miser gets the knock on Roto as they're rotating in. Those F3 players that hugged the edge of the zone, which was an intelligent play at the time, kind of put him in a bad spot. There we go.
And look at that. Those are the players that were shooting Atlantis in the back.
Yep.
From the edge of that zone, and because they made the rotation and moved in early, they're rewarded by being able to gatekeep. But now, the script has been flipped on them. They've got to now push on in. They've got opponents shooting the high ground, and here's the build battle about to commence. Mitro moving on up. You've got the grapple for Megan as well. Quick double ramps going on in. The 90 used to get the high ground, and just like that, the high ground has been earned by the Atlantis players. A brilliant rotation, a master class there. 4 limbs so far this game as well.
Carlos in general just hanging out in the bottom of the structure now. They don't necessarily have to move out. They're on the very edge of the zone, and they can coexist with the Atlantis team pretty easily. The problem at this point is if they were hoping for the opportunity to catch any other team rotating, because they don't have the height advantage on the Atlantis team, they're probably not going to secure those elims. But it looks like Atlantis, these guys, they want to take out the team that's sitting underneath. They're trying to build up, take ownership of all of the surfaces that they can. The compact SMG, the ammo share there, because they know that spray from that compact SMG is going to be key for just final moment rotations. If they're trying to push in on any structure that they have to compete against, knocking down walls as fast as possible is going to be very important. You see the team rotating underneath northeast, building up a little bit of a base, a couple brick and wood structures down. And this is a great spot. They have clear vision of a majority of the map from up there. Bartologist and Bravo are potentially the highest team, but this grenade launcher, Tfue and Cloak, we haven't seen too much yet this game.
Yeah, this is definitely their quietest game so far. Banking these grenades, this is their whole focus. They're putting everything into going for these elims. They keep spraying it down, keep trying to drop them on down. It seems like Tfue is just one ramp away from having open dam on his opponent, but there's the third party now getting involved.
Very low medium ammo count. He's only got 26 shots, quite a bit of
that was all of his rockets, too.
It was.
You could tell they wanted those elims so badly. Loki's got some great weapons, though. The silenced epic assault rifle. Another rift to go. Another rift to go. He's had one each game.
Every single game. Now might be the chance to use it. We'll see what they got 5 seconds on the rotation here. He's going to just quick edit to try and get to the resource, the ammo and the material hiding behind. There we go. Grab the minis. Has a med kit, 15 bandages. They're set up excellently for an endgame heal.
We've seen this each
game.
game.
47 left, though.
We've seen this each game where they just get this extreme high ground. 56 seconds left now.
Here we go. Cloak dropping in. Somebody not paying attention, catches them off guard.
Tunnel visioning on the players down below, not listening for that glider sound coming on in, and now it looks like Tfue and crew, they want this elimination, and they'll get it and be rewarded with some great upgrades as well. The heavy shotgun, 2 charges on a grappler, great. Now Soren stuck in a box, and he's getting tagged by these stink grenades.
Down to 35. They're going to use that for 2.
Oh, gosh.
Shots to the wall just as Norse is trying to wall off. You can see Mowgli taking HP damage, most likely from the same stink grenade. Those can come in big. You don't have to worry about shields at all if you're using those against your opponents. Plus, it gives you a way to kind of see through the wall. If you can see where the damage tags are coming from, you can track an opponent without having to actually have line of sight on them.
Here's the eliminations counter again this game. You see 4 earned so far from Super Evan and Godnik. You see 4 earned so far from Atlantis Mitro and Atlantis Megan. So we continue to move on down. A few more teams with 3. So 5 teams in total this game with at least 1 point on the board.
Norse gets eliminated. A little bit of a loot share there. Mowgli picking up what he can. He has a chance to, but very low HP. And the knockdown there on the wall immediately had to cancel a heal he was going for. We cut to Tfue and Cloak. Yet again, the top-down view. As many players as possible. I mentioned Tfue's ammo situation earlier, but that handful of eliminations, specifically on Novi and Nubtra, gave him quite a surplus there, sitting over 200. It's like someone trying to land in near their little tower, but Tfue defending as much as he can. Any shot just to spray opponents away, trying to see if he can get tags on people rotating. Even if you don't get the elimination, you're going to make people play more defensively. There we go. And now that team is going to have to bunker up behind the tower right in front of Tfue Cloak. And they're sandwiched between another team. You see the players now just building up ramps in the sky to go for the glider redeploy to reposition. Cloak, a knock in the feet there on Bartologist.
Oh my
Tfue.
gosh. He just got hit in the face by a grenade.
Glider redeploy saved any previously fall damage might have eliminated him there just based on the height he was at. The glider redeploy, Cloak gets the finish there on Bartologist.
Oh! 16 and then an 88 tag, but it's not enough. Will still get that elimination. The Atlantis players now in play. Look at how much it takes to destroy one of those metal walls. Some brilliant tags with the compact SMG. And this is still the weapons from the very beginning of the game. That's how good the loot was for Mitro. Has not needed to change anything about the loadout.
The only problem at this point is long-range third party might be tough. He's only got 7 medium ammo left.
Yep.
But everything up close.
He's handled.
If If you're in smelling range, he's got enough shotgun shells and small rounds to take care of business.
That roof actually just blocked him right there. Some loot down to the right.
Pushing
Willie
in,
trying to go
trying to
pick
get
it
an
up, and it's bait. It's bait, folks. He's down to 45 HP. Cloaksy now knocked. This could spell disaster for the duo at the top of our standings so far. 27 health. Gone. Tfue and Cloaksy with their earliest exit yet.
Making that much noise between the grappler push and everybody that started firing as soon as Tfue and Cloaksy got in there.
Now, here's the big thing, too. I love that we just swapped the hero. This is the team in second. So this is the team currently trailing Tfue and Cloaksy.
Sauge out there, 83 gets the knock on stage 2. Is going for the elimination immediately, just trying to... at that point, an elim this late does two things for you. Puts you 1 point closer, or one elim closer to a point for eliminations alone. Plus, with only 25 now, 23 players remaining, that might, if it's late enough, put you higher in placement, which is even more points.
Yeah. Brilliant editing speed there to close that zone on in. They've made it.
Push across the top. Frantic movement, and you see, look at all these POVs.
I'm going to pretend like I could even give you any bit of information from what's on my screen right now. But now we're going to go back over to Just Chillin'. My goodness, that was a lot, but it showed just how crazy these moments are.
He's done. Frantic moments,
He's done.
Man. 11, 6.
No way.
6 HP.
Oh, the zone.
Storm claims another one. You see the V. There it is. Just Chillin' going down the Storm.
Another one.
Kayun gets a pair down. Amidst all that, multiple players going down the Storm. This rotation, very tough, and it's still not done yet. Look at the distance they still have to travel. 16 players left, 33 seconds.
Oh,
left
he just gets clocked by a shotgun. That's Mitro and Megan still making plays. You see them all over the elimination feed right now. I mean, they've got to be pushing. They've got to be pushing towards the 7 elim bonus at this point. I think they might be in big bonus territory. Goes Kayun. He is 6 himself. 6 himself. If Sean has any, they're probably in big bonus as well.
We haven't seen any team activate big bonus just yet, but we might be looking at the first team right now. Kayun and Sean trying to position themselves for catching any rotation off guards.
No, they don't. They don't. Sean has 0.
Kayun.
That's huge. With 1 health, gets the 7th elim. That's another point. That's another point right there. You've got to love that. 1 health as well now for Jaganza. 3 left in this game. Trying to play the low ground. A great shot there. Will they have time to pop the medkit? I don't believe so. The grappler not going to happen. With only 1 health in the victory royale there from the high ground for Korea and Nibs. The first time we've seen a complete duo still alive. The high ground makes a difference. Jaganza tried with 1 HP.
1 HP and a aggressive grappler push, just trying to secure every elim and potentially a higher placement, which would have been another point.
Yep.
You have to give him credit, but both players alive right there at the end for Victory Royale is big.
Kayun with 7 elims on his own. That's 3 points right there. You see the smiles from Nibs and Korea as they know how important that is. We mentioned, have we seen much of them so far today? No.
No.
I don't think we've mentioned their names once. They just got a Victory Royale right there. They are now probably right into our top 12.
Exactly.
Or very, very close.
Depending on elimination count, too. We're looking at 4, 5, 6 points for a single game from them. That's big. We have to express, people need to understand, it can take just 1 game to put yourself high enough in these heats to get into the grand finals on Sunday. And players are first place is $400,000, Jack. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. And again, anyone that makes it there, automatically $5 grand each per player.
Yep.
Right? So they're playing for that money there, but then it goes to, okay, well, once you hit top, 10, top 9, top 8, it begins